As long as there are humans in the world, we're gonna have rivalries and beefs. We have them in hip hop, we have them in the ghetto, we even have them in the elites. Even some of our most famous teachers had beefs. W.E.B. Du Bois versus Booker T. Washington. That was somewhat of a rivalry. Two different schools of thought. Malcolm X at one time versus Martin Luther King. That was another so-called rivalry. And also in the pro-black movement now, we still have them. At one point, Brother Polite versus Sa Neter. But the main one that most people have been focused on for the last few years, although it's died down heavily, is Dr. Umar Johnson versus Tariq Nasheed. And both of these guys are super talented, and both of these guys also, they have a lot of confidence in themselves. So I'm not gonna go into detail about how they feel about each other, but we all know that Dr. Umar Johnson and Tariq Nasheed stay away from one another, and sometimes there's words about each other based on how they feel. I'll leave it at that. But we all know that they're not the best of friends, okay? Now, let me get back to the subject of today. Divide and rule as a strategy has been used on black people since the beginning of time. Malcolm X talks about it in this clip.
1/5 of the world is dark. How is it possible for 1/5 to rule, oppress, exploit, dominate, and brutalize the 4/5 who are in the majority? How do they do it? Divide and conquer. If I take my hand and slap you, you don't even feel it. It might sting you because these digits are separated. But all I have to do to put you back in your place is bring those digits together.
Even George Carlin, a white comedian, talked about divide and rule being used in America.
Now I'd like to talk about a few things that bring us together, okay? Things that emphasize our similarities instead of our differences, which is all you ever hear about in this country, is our differences. It's all they ever talk about. Politicians and the media, always pushing the things that separate us, things that make us different. That's the way the ruling class operates in any society. They divide the rest of the people. They keep the lower and the middle classes fighting with each other so that they, the rich, can run off with all the fucking money.
And even Sarah Garvey talked about how Just Pearly Things, as a YouTuber, used divide and rule between British blacks and African Americans.
And what happened during that interview with Nick Fuentes was that she used an age-old tactic that colonizers use, which was the divide and rule tactic. She pitted African Americans versus Africans when she spoke about how hard Africans work compared to how hard African Americans work.
But see, I want you to listen to this, all right? Even haters of black people with our same skin tone want to use divide and rule. Now, I want you to remember this clip that Myron put up mentioning Dr. Umar and Tariq Nasheed.
And honestly, if it's me and Nick, I'll take on Tariq and Umar. We'd absolutely destroy them. We would absolutely destroy them. And we wouldn't even have to get into like any of the IQ stuff. No, we would just straight debate them on how you are not oppressed as an African-American in the United States, or an FBA, foundationally Black America, whatever they want to say. They say all these excuses about why the black man can't get ahead. I'll give y'all one stat, all right, just to show you guys how ludicrous these guys are. In 1940, okay, 87% of blacks lived in poverty. By 1960, about 47% of blacks lived in below the poverty line, okay? So a 40% drop. Also, keep in mind, this was before the civil rights era. So racism was at its highest. So please explain to me how you had a 40% drop of blacks living under the under the poverty line, in the worst, one of the worst eras to be a black person in the United States, and then you're fast forwarding to 2023, where racism exists. I'm not denying it exists. However, it is not strong enough to keep you back or hold you back from success. No way. But you're telling me people had way more obstacles back then and they were able to not live in poverty? Come on, man, get out of here.
Now, of course, once he put out that video, Tariq Nasheed responded. He even accepted the challenge. But what did Myron try to do, guys? He tried to do a divide and conquer. I want to tell you how he did it. Look at this post he did. He tells Tariq Nasheed, "You're irrelevant. I'll debate Dr. Umar. You're not worth my time. Bring someone with you with a presence if you want to do this." Now stop the show. Most of you guys didn't catch that, right? But I want you to see what Myron is trying to do here. What he wants Tariq Nasheed to do is to start bragging about how bigger he is than Dr. Umar Johnson. See, what he's trying to say is, Tariq, you're not as popular as Dr. Umar. And we all know that, hey, Tariq Nasheed, he raised the money for the museum, and Umar felt a certain kind of way about that. So there was some tension on that last year. But that's what he's trying to do. He's trying to start a beef between Tariq Nasheed and Umar Johnson, because obviously in the last 2 years, they've had some back and forths and some things to say about each other. They're not cool. But I want you to see how both of these brothers who have fundamental differences, Tariq Nasheed is not a Pan Africanist, okay? Tariq Nasheed is hashtag FBA, which is very similar to hashtag ADOS, very African American centered, and believes that African Americans need to start their own community to do what they need to do, empower their own selves. Dr. Umar Johnson disagrees with that theory, but I want you to hear, firstly, what Dr. Umar Johnson says in responses to Myron from Fresh and Fit.
As far as them two on that podcast, I'm not even thinking about them. I'm not even thinking about them. See, what I'm not going to do is use my brand, my name, and my platform to drive traffic to any social media platform that is about the persecution, destruction, sabotage, and slander of black men, black women, or any branch of the African family. I will not do that. I will not do that. If you slandering continental Africans, I can't come on your platform. You slandering American Africans, I can't come on your platform. You slandering Caribbean Africans, I can't come on your platform. You slandering South American and Central American Africans, I'm not coming on your platform. You slandering Canadian Africans, Australian Africans, South Pacific Africans, I'm not coming on your platform. You slandering my African brothers and sisters throughout the continent of Europe, I can't rock with you. You slandering the Africans in Asia, I'm not rocking with you, brothers and sisters. You're not going to use my name and my fame. You're not going to use my name and my fame to drive traffic to a degenerate social media YouTube platform. We're not doing that. We are not doing that. We're not doing that. We're not doing that. Half of you haven't even donated to the Frederick Douglass and Marcus Garvey Academy, but you want to interview. You want to interview with the top black consciousness personality in the world. You want an interview with the #1 Pan-Africanist of the 21st century. You want an interview with one of the top 10 black orators in history. It don't work that easy, brothers and sisters. It don't work that easy, brothers and sisters. If you ain't got nothing constructive to offer the people, I'm not using my name and my fame to drive traffic to your page. Let me talk about the Suki Hana situation one time.
Now I want you to hear again what Tariq Nasheed said to Myron in Fresh and Fit.
Yeah, y'all don't really want it with me. Well, we're going to have to chop up some real game. No strippers, no smoking mirrors, none of that stuff. Yeah, no talent. You don't have real viewers. You have to put on a circus act in order for people to look at your shit. You have to create a train wreck in order for people to look at what you got going. Yeah, you don't really want it. Yeah, you don't really want it at all. And see, here's the thing. That's why he said, we'll rather have Dr. Umar. They know Umar probably ain't gonna go on there. And see, with Umar, the thing is, what they'll do, if Umar went on there, they'll just start trolling. Because see, Umar keeps it straight serious. He's serious. And I'm serious, but the thing is, what makes me different is the minute they start trolling, I can switch the shit into roast mode too and then beat them on that. That's the thing that burns their asses. See, the thing about trolling, when you're trolling somebody, it's very important that the person you're trolling is being serious. You see, that's the most important thing. If you're trolling somebody, you have to troll them when they're being serious and you're being the clown. If you're trying to troll somebody and they're roasting you back, your trolling is failing. your trolling fails. That's why whenever I do my broadcast, my live Twitter shows, and the call up trying to troll, it all falls flat because I start lighting their ass up. I go right into roast mode on them, which is, most people can't do that. Most people can't handle them intellectually and then out roast them at the drop of a dime. Oh, I can go toe-to-toe intellectually with Myron, and the minute he starts trolling, oh, he don't want that. He don't want it to turn into a roast session. He already knows where that's going to go. That knows not to try to get into a roast session with me. You better keep it as intellectually thorough as possible. If you ever try to get into a roast session with me, there's so much ammo to hit you with on a roast session. Brother, you don't want to do it. Oh my God, you don't. And he knows better. He knows that troll shit ain't gonna work with me. With two face to face, you know better. That's why when I go on these shows, notice their whole disposition is different when I'm there with them. They get on their P's and Q's when I'm there. All of these podcasters and all these people talk big shit. But when I'm there in the room with them, they get right. It gets real respectful when I'm there in person with their ass. They don't want to go nowhere in a funky place with me. They don't want to go nowhere funky with me when I'm sitting there on them. Yeah. So Myron knows, he knows that it would be a horrible look for him because he's not going to be able to troll his way out of it. He knows he's not going to be able to troll. If the minute that starts trolling, I'm switching into roast mode on his ass and it's a wrap.
Now, here's what I'm trying to say, man. I want you guys to get this. Myron, in my opinion, he's a disliker of black people. And what he tried to do was to try to diminish Tariq Nasheed in favor of Dr. Umar. At first, he said he would debate both of them, but then he tried the divide and rule tactic, and he wanted Tariq to go against Dr. Umar because he knows that Dr. Umar is a Pan African. That's why he wants to debate Dr. Umar, because Dr. Umar, he feels, will be more sympathetic towards somebody like him and maybe want to correct him because he is of African heritage, Arabic/Black African heritage, Sudanese. But with Tariq, who is FBA, and that's who he has the smoke for, he's trying to say, Tariq, you're not on Umar's level. But did you realize what Tariq did? Tariq didn't take not one shot at Dr. Umar because that's what Fresh and Fit wanted to do. And obviously, if you take a shot at Dr. Umar has to respond. Dr. Umar did not take one shot at Tariq. What do you call that? It is called staying on code. And that's something that I gotta appreciate, man. We don't give these brothers enough credit for what just happened here because this guy tried to really play these two brothers, okay? And at first, I didn't realize it until I started thinking about it. I'm like, man, this guy tried to diminish Tariq and tried to get Tariq to insult Umar to go into a war. But Umar and Tariq did not take the bait. They both had a difference of opinion and they came at him both differently, but they're both saying the same thing. You are not going to disrespect our groups, period. Despite the fact that me and Tariq got issues, all right? Now, I know I troll a lot with titles and things like that, but the reality is, and Tariq just recently disagreed with Dr. Umar. Didn't call him names and nothing of that. But again, here's what you're trying to do. You're seeing that this guy was trying to put them against each other, and they both responded to him in kind. And for that just lets you know one thing, right? As blacks, we don't always have to agree on everything. You can have African Americans who never want to go back to Africa. You can have brothers who want to be Pan-African, but against a common enemy, we can both say how we feel without bringing the other person down. You see, he wants somebody to be like, sad music? Oh man, what you mean? I'm bigger than him. I'm much greater than him. Like, no, bruh. No, that's called staying on code. So again, what do you guys think? It's your boy, O'Shea Duke Jackson. Back at it again with another episode of The Celebrity Drunk. Appreciate you for all you do. Subscribe to the bell. We're out.